Let's continue our introduction to popnets by looking at the difference between forces and velocities. So as always, this project file will be available on Patreon as well as all of the previous project files. So if you want to grab those, you can do that on there. But let's drop down a SOP create and we can dive inside. And let's drop down a grid so that we can take a look at the difference between our force and our velocity. So I'm going to set this to a value of 2 by 2, and I'm going to just move this over by 2 units, and then I'm going to make a copy of this. Whoops. Let's make a copy, and let's move this one over 2 in the positive X direction there. So now let's just go ahead and give us some initial velocities using a attribute wrangle. And in here, we're going to just do what we did before. So we'll do v at v is equal to set, and then we'll do a value of 0, 1, and 0, just so that our particles move up in the y direction. Now I'm going to make a copy of this as well, and I'm going to move this over to the other stream here. And I'm going to just make this one not have any upward velocity when it's initialized. Now, this stream over here is going to be where we're applying a force, and the stream on the left here is going to be where we're just applying the velocities. So let's drop down a group. And in this group node, this is going to carry forward into our popnet. So I'm going to call this group, we'll just name it not for, but force. And then we can merge these together. And we can pipe this into a popnet. So any particles that are spawned on this stream, because they have a group applied to them, are going to carry forward the group for the force group here. So if I look at our pop object here and come to our geometry, if I wheel all the way over here, you can see that we have pop group force. We have some particles that are being generated inside of this group. So let's go ahead and dive inside here, and we can press play and we can see what is actually going on here. So on the left here, we have our particles being spawned, and they have that upward velocity of 1. So they're going to just move just upward. And these on the right don't have any velocities or force being applied to them. So they're just going to stay in their original spawn positions. So let's add some force to this stream over here. So let's drop down a pop force. And the way that the force works is it's a little bit similar to velocity, but it's going to be just a little bit different. So velocities are going to be applied the same amount on every frame. In this case, because we're just initializing the velocities, we're not changing them inside of our popnet. If we were to change them inside our popnet, then they would obviously change. But with the velocities, they're not going to exceed the velocity that you have applied. So if I have a value of 1 in the y direction of our velocity, which is what we have set currently, it's only going to go, it's only going to have a magnitude of 1 in the y direction. Now, with our force, it can exceed that. So if I go ahead and put 1 in the y direction of our force, and I press play, you're going to see that they start moving a little bit slow, but as they start to increase, actually, I forgot to set the group here. So if I set our group to be that force group, and I press play, you can see that they start to move a little bit slow, but then that force starts to exceed what our velocity is. If I come over here and I look at our group force, I can see that I've just filtered those to the top, and with our geometry, if we look in the Y, you see that we have our velocities at 6.41. So they're greatly exceeding what we are getting in our pop or in our velocities that we've initialized here. So if I take these and I come back to frame, let's say frame 49. So if we've got frame 1 to start, so on frame 49, 2 seconds will have passed, because that's going to be what our frame rate is. Our frame rate is 24 frames per second. And if I look at our velocities here, you can see that we have a velocity of 2 being applied. So we're moving basically twice as fast in the y direction as these on the left are. So our force is moving past that value of 1 because it's continuously applying this force value that we have here across our simulation. So eventually they'll speed up and start moving very, very quickly. So that's important to know because you can get some different looks with the pop force versus the just using velocities. So there's two nodes that we can kind of use in order to get some nice movement inside of the pop simulation. So let's just jump out here and I'm going to create a sphere. And then let's just create another popnet here. And in here, if I just press play, you see that we just have our particles spawning as usual. But if I wanted to just generate some movement on this, we have our pop force that we had before, and then we can do some different things with this. So we have these different settings here. We have this amplitude, swirl size. So this is going to apply a noise to our force values inside of our popnet here. So if I just increase this amplitude and I go ahead and I press play, you can see that we have our particles starting to get some noise being applied to them. So if I were to increase the swirl scale quite a bit here, you can see that we get this movement where they're kind of flying out and we get some nice movement to this. Let's actually go ahead. I'm going to jump back up and I'm going to increase our cache size. And I'm going to dive back inside and I'm also going to increase the birth rate. So let's set this to like 100,000. If I press play, you can see I get this kind of noise being applied to our particles. So I want to just take this pop force here. And you see that we have these settings here, 1.17 and 3.51 on our swirl scale. I'm going to take that and I'm going to just duplicate this popnet. And I'm going to drop down a switch node as well, just so that we can kind of hop back and forth between the two. So there's another node here. If we just delete this pop force, if we drop down the pop wind, it's going to be very similar to the pop force node. We have basically the same settings, except for the pop wind is going to not apply a force, but it's going to work with the velocities instead. So if I set this to that 1.17 and then I think it was 3.51, let's just make sure that that matches there. Yeah, 1.17 and 3.51. So if I look at our simulation now, if I press play, you can see we get much of the same movement going on because it's going to have the same, amplitude and swirl size. It's the same noise that's being applied to this. But if I jump back out here and I come to this switch node, you can see that we have on the same frame, if we flip between the two of these, we have very similar types of shapes going on, but you see with the force, which is our first input here, the force has grown quite a bit more outwards away from our object here. And the reason that it's doing that, like I said, is because we are using the force instead of the velocity. And the force is going to continuously update throughout the simulation, and it's going to push those values a lot farther with our velocities than what we would get inside of the pop wind, for example. If we look at this, so our max values here are 1.3 in the X. If we jump back to our first input here, which is our force, you can see that we have much, much stronger values that are being applied in the same time frame. Like I said, that is all due to force and the way that the force nodes, the pop force works compared to the pop wind. So just be aware that you can use these pop forces to get some really nice looks and very similar effects to what you would get inside of using a pop wind. But the difference between them is the wind is going to limit the velocities versus the pop force is going to just continuously update those. So we can start to get some really nice looks with this. We can really just play around with this. We can play around with the, the swirl size, the amplitude. We have our roughness of a simulation, our turbulence. So you can get some really interesting looks just by playing around with these, playing around with your birth rate, your life, and things like that. You can get some really, really cool looks. And this is really where particles start to become really fun, in my opinion, because you get these really unique kind of looks to your simulation. And again, we can combine this with our initial velocities if we wanted to. So we could take let's just cancel that. Let's take a pop VOP maybe, or sorry, just a point VOP. Take that, and we can take like a curl noise maybe. We can apply this position and we can wire this into our velocities. And real quick, I guess too, the advantage of using the pop wind versus just initializing our velocities here, let's just bypass this for a second. So if I just have our initial velocities like we set up here with this point VOP, if I go ahead and I press play, you see what we started to have issues with, and this becomes really apparent if I really increase the birth rate here. So we have these kind of streaks that become, that kind of show up. We have these lines that really become apparent that you probably saw in the initial animation for the last episode. And you can really see that we have this like sharp edge right here. And the reason for that is because we're not updating the velocity throughout the simulation. We're just giving an initial velocity and that's it. So it's just going to move in that direction. All the particles are going to move in that direction based upon what initial velocity they're given, but it's not going to update anything. So the difference between that and the pop wind is the pop wind or the pop force, they're going to apply that noise across the simulation. It's going to move depending on where the particles are at. So if I press play now, we give those particles some initial velocities, and we also are applying this pop wind. So we get some very unique shapes that start to take place here. And this becomes really more apparent once you start to render. So that's what we're going to cover in the next video. We're going to start to look at rendering and how that works inside of Solaris, just so you can start to render out these simulations and see kind of what your simulations look like, because it can be a little bit difficult to just see kind of what's going on inside of your viewport with just a pop simulation, these little points that are in here. You really want to see some shadows and stuff and start to get an idea of what these simulations are actually outputting. So anyways, hopefully this helps you out and cleared up maybe any confusion that you had as far as forces versus velocities, and maybe you start to understand kind of the difference between them and when you should use one versus the other. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and have a good day.